Hello there, and welcome. Tonight, we're going to journey through time, across dimensions, and deep into the world of one of the most iconic heroes in video game history, Sonic the Hedgehog. But don't worry, there's no need to rush. Even though Sonic himself is known for his blazing speed, this story is designed to do the opposite. We're going to slow down, breathe in, and gently explore the vast lore and timeless characters that have made Sonic a beloved figure for more than 3 decades. So whether you're here to unwind, to fall asleep, or to simply lose yourself in a world of vibrant worlds, colorful heroes, and ancient secrets, you're in the right place. Let's begin, shall we? Imagine a blue blur darting across a grassy hill, the sun setting just behind him, rings sparkling in the air. That's Sonic, bold, free, and fast as the wind. But behind his speed is a story, a rich history full of strange machines, mystical emeralds, long-lost civilizations, and bonds stronger than steel. This isn't just about running and jumping. Sonic's universe is filled with hope, courage, fights. There are ancient temples buried under the sea, battles in far-off galaxies, forgotten friendships, legendary rivals, and always the quiet hum of destiny in the background, as if Sonic was meant for something greater than even he realizes. You might know Sonic from the games, the cartoons, or the comics. Maybe you grew up with a Genesis controller in your hands. Or maybe you met him recently, sprinting through loops in Sonic Frontiers, no matter how you found him or when his story is waiting to be told. And tonight, it will unfold gently, piece by piece. We'll start at the beginning with Sonic's mysterious origin and the rise of his eternal nemesis, Dr. Eggman. Then, we'll drift through time to meet his closest friends, Tails, the gentle genius fox, Knuckles, the protector of an ancient power, Amy, full of heart and determination, and Shadow, born from tragedy and shrouded, in mystery. We'll float into forgotten ruins and sacred altars, cover the Chaos Emeralds, then onward into the stars, across timelines, and even into parallel universes. Everything will come together like a soft dream, one you don't need to solve, only to experience. So now, as you settle in, close your eyes if you'd like. Let the day fade away. Let your thoughts quiet down, and allow yourself to wander into the story. Because for the next 2 hours, this is your time. And the world of Sonic the... Let's begin at the beginning. Before Sonic was a hero, before the world knew his name, there was a world on the edge of change. A world that balanced nature and technology, peace and ambition. And it was on this delicate edge that 2 forces began to emerge, one of freedom and one of control. This is where we find our blue blur. But even before Sonic sped across the Green Hill Zone, before he raced through loops and toppled towering machines, there was a man named Dr. Ovi Kintobor, the scientist and the experiment. In some early tellings of the Sonic story, especially those from the UK's Fleetway comics, Dr. Kintobor was a kind, brilliant scientist with big dreams. He believed in peace, harmony, and the power of science to improve the world. In his underground laboratory, he studied ancient energy crystals, known as the Chaos Emeralds. He theorized that these gems were unlimited if the line bright. They could all evil. Yes, eliminate evil. But the emeralds were chaotic by nature, imbalanced. He needed something to counter them, and so he created the Ring Energy Stabilizer, a device that could cleanse the emeralds of their negative energy. Dr. Kintobor had one assistant, a small blue hedgehog with extraordinary speed, a kind creature who had helped him in the lab. His name was Sonic. One day, an experiment went wrong. The emeralds pulsed with unstable energy. A single drop of spilled cola, a flash of power, and in a blink, the kind doctor was transformed into something else entirely. He became Dr. Evo Robot, better known as the Doctor. His mind twisted, his heart turned cold. His dreams of peace were replaced by visions of conquest, control, and machines. He still remembered Sonic, but now he saw the Hedgehog as an obstacle. And so, the chase began. The rise of a hero. Sonic wasn't just fast, he was the fastest thing alive. After Dr. Kintabor's transformation, Sonic took it upon himself to protect the world. He began patrolling the lands, running through forests, deserts, and icy peaks, stopping Eggman's robots where they appeared. The story truly picks up speed in 1991. That was the year of Sonic's debut in the original Sega Genesis game, Sonic the Hedgehog, and the first zone, the now iconic Green Hill Zone, was the setting of his earliest battles. Imagine it now. Lush green grass, checkerboard cliffs, loops that spiral into the sky, palm trees swaying, gold rings floating in the air, a warm breeze. And in the middle of it all, Sonic, running, spinning, collecting, into Vietnam, freeing trapped animals from robotic shells. Dr. Eggman had begun a campaign of mechanization. He captured wildlife and turned them into robotic minions, badniks, he called them. Buzz bombers, motobugs, crab meats, every machine a prison, every zone a battleground. Sonic, on his own, dashed through 6 zones to stop Eggman's plan, and at the end of each zone, a confrontation, a new machine, a new invention. But always, Sonic prevailed. Sonic CD and the Time of Metal. As Sonic's fame grew, so too did Eggman's ambition. In Sonic CD, the villain discovered a strange planet that only appeared in Mobius's orbit once every century. Little Planet. It hovered over Never Lake, cloaked in mystery. On this tiny world, time flowed differently. Eggman saw potential and built a fortress on it, chaining the planet to a mountain. His goal? To use the Time Stone's powerful gems, like the Chaos Emeralds, to manipulate time itself. But Sonic wasn't alone this time. It was here that he first met Amy Rose, a pink hedgehog with a huge heart and a bigger crush. She followed Sonic to Little Planet, and unfortunately caught the attention of another new threat. This was Metal Sonic Eggman's ultimate robotic copy of the Blue Blur. Sleek, silent, deadly. He kidnapped Amy and challenged Sonic, racing through time to try to prove himself superior. The battle between Sonic and a Metal Sonic in Stardust Speedway is now legendary, a desperate race against collapsing tunnels, lasers, and time itself. In the end, Sonic won. Amy was saved, and Little Planet was freed for now. Tails and the adventure expands. Soon after, Sonic found a friend, a young, twin-tailed fox named Miles Prower, better known as Tails. Tails had always been different. His 2 tails made him the target of bullies, until the day he saw Sonic running. Inspired by Sonic's confidence and bravery, Tails learned to spin his tails like a propeller, giving him the ability to fly. He followed Sonic everywhere, and soon became his trusted companion. Their bond was unbreakable. In Sonic the Hedgehog 2, they teamed up to stop Eggman once more. This time, Eggman had built a flying fortress and a massive space station known as the Death Egg, a clear homage to a certain famous, moon-sized superweapon. The Death Egg was powered by Chaos Emeralds. Eggman sought domination from the skies. Together, Sonic and Tails soared through Chemical Plant Zone, Aquatic Ruin, Casino Night, and beyond. At the final showdown, Sonic faced Mecha Sonic, another robotic rival. And after defeating Eggman, the Death Egg was destroyed, or so it seemed. Knuckles the Guardian. In Sonic the Hedgehog 3, we meet Knuckles the Echidna, the last of his kind. He lived on Angel Island, a floating landmass suspended in the sky by a mystical force, the Master Emerald. Knuckles had a solemn duty to guard the Master Emerald and protect its power. He was strong, serious, and fiercely loyal to his duty. But Eggman, ever cunning, tricked him into believing that Sonic and Tails were thieves seeking to steal the emerald. And so, Knuckles became an enemy, a new obstacle in Sonic's journey. Eggman used this distraction to rebuild the Death Egg in secret. But as the truth unraveled, Knuckles realized he'd been deceived. He switched to sides and helped Sonic in the final confrontation. They battled Eggman's launch base, fought through Lava Reef, descended into Hidden Palace, and finally chased Eggman into space for the climactic duel aboard the Death Egg once again. It was in these moments that Sonic transformed not just as a hero, but physically into Super Sonic, using the Chaos Emerald's power to shine like a golden comet. He soared through the stars, unstoppable. Sonic Knuckles, the final chapter of the trilogy. The Sonic Knuckles game, released shortly after, continued the tale and completed the epic Genesis trilogy. This time, the player could control Knuckles himself, exploring the same zones with new paths and abilities. His story intertwined with Sonic's, showing the two perspectives of a single narrative. The final confrontation took place in the Sky Sanctuary, a holy, cloud-bound room guarded by robotic sentinels. Sonic once again faced Mecha Sonic, now powered by the Master Emerald. The stakes had never been higher. In a beautiful, dreamlike showdown, Sonic overcame the threat and returned the Emerald to its rightful place, restoring Angel Island's flight and balance to the world. For now, peace returned. A world unfolds. Through these early stories, the world of Sonic began to take shape, not just in pixels, but in themes, emotions, and legacy. A lone hedgehog, running not just to defeat a villain, but to protect freedom, to defend nature, to preserve what makes the world beautiful and wild and alive. Each character added a layer. Tails represented loyalty and brilliance. Knuckles represented tradition and strength, and Trombone. Amy brought heart and hope. And Eggman. He was a reminder that unchecked ambition can twist even the kindest intentions. But Sonic remained the constant, fast, fearless, and always free. Sen. As the world of video games shifted from 2D to 3D, so too did Sonic's story evolve. In 1999, Sega released a game that would forever change the scope of the franchise Sonic Adventure. It was more than just a leap into a new dimension, it was a leap in narrative depth. For the first time, Sonic's world felt alive in a different way. Cities bustled, temples crumbled, and ancient spirits whispered through stone. The story was no longer just a backdrop for running, it became part of the journey. And at the center of this story was Chaos. Chaos, the god of destruction. Long ago, in the ancient past of Sonic's world, there lived a peaceful tribe known as the Echidnas, the ancestors of Knuckles. They were powerful, proud, and obsessed with gaining control over the Chaos Emeralds. At the heart of their society was a temple surrounded by innocent creatures called the Chow, gentle life forms who were cared for by a mysterious entity, a watery, translucent being named Chaos. Chaos. Chaos was a guardian, a protector, pure and peaceful. But when the Echidnas attacked the temple to seize the emeralds by force, Chaos lost control. Fueled by grief and rage, he absorbed the emerald's negative energy and transformed into perfect chaos, a towering serpent of water and fury. The land was nearly destroyed. Only the courage of Tikal, the daughter of the Echidna chief, managed to seal Chaos and the emeralds away in the Master Emerald, trapping them and herself in timeless slumber. Centuries passed. In Sonic Adventure, Dr. Eggman, now fully embracing his villainous destiny, discovered this legend and sought to awaken Chaos once more. His plan? Use Chaos as a living weapon to conquer the world. But history repeated itself. As Chaos absorbed each emerald, his form grew more powerful. But in the end, he was not truly evil, lost in his grief. When Chaos was confronted not by force, but by compassion, when the Chow showed him they had survived and lived peacefully, his heart calmed. His rage melted away. Sonic, as Super Sonic, helped Chaos return to the water and to peace. The past had healed, but the future still held shadows. Shadow the Hedgehog, the ultimate life form. Just a few years later, in Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic faced not just another villain, but a mirror. His name was Shadow, a black hedgehog with red stripes, red eyes, and a purpose he barely understood. Shadow wasn't a robot. He wasn't an alien. He wasn't even an ordinary life form. He was the result of a project started by Professor Gerald Robotnik, the grandfather of Dr. Eggman. Project Shadow. Gerald was a man of vision and pain. He had a granddaughter named Maria, a sweet young girl suffering from a terminal illness. Determined to save her, Gerald turned to radical science. On a research station in space, known as the Ark, he created Shadow, the ultimate life form. Shadow and Maria formed a deep bond, but their peace was short-lived. The military, fearing Gerald's creation, raided the station. In the chaos, Maria was killed, but not before launching Shadow to Earth in an escape pod. Shadow slept in cryostasis for 50 years. When Eggman discovered his grandfather's work, he awakened Shadow to aid in his next world-conquering plot. But Shadow was confused, broken, torn between memories and vengeance. He believed Maria's dying wish was for him to avenge her, and so he planned to fulfill her last wish by activating the Eclipse Cannon, a doomsday weapon on the Ark that could destroy the Earth. But as the final moments approached, Shadow remembered the truth. Maria hadn't asked for destruction. She had asked for hope. She wanted him to protect the people of Earth, not destroy them. In the climax of Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic and Shadow, now allies, combined their powers to stop the Ark's descent. Side by side, they became Super Sonic and Super Shadow, streaks of gold and red light racing through space. They saved the world. And Shadow fell. Sacrifice and memory. Shadow's fall is one of the most emotional moments in Sonic's long story. As he plummeted to Earth, he thought of Maria and smiled. He had fulfilled her wish. It was the first true sacrifice in the Sonic universe, a reminder that even in a world of speed and rings and robots, there was a depth of feeling, of purpose, of grief and healing. Of course, Shadow would return. But for now, the story marked the end of an era, one that blended sci-fi, myth, and personal legacy into something truly unforgettable. The world expands heroes and conflict. After Sonic Adventure 2, the lore grew bolder. Sonic Heroes introduced a wide cast of characters, from Team Chaotix, a group of quirky detectives led by the booming-voiced Crocodile, Vector, to the return of Metal Sonic, now upgraded and fueled by jealousy. In Heroes, Sonic's allies worked in teams Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Amy, Cream and Big, Rouge, Shadow, and Omega, and Team Chaotix. Each had their own motivations, their own missions, but all paths converged on the revelation that Metal Sonic had betrayed Eggman and become the final villain. His goal? To prove he was not just a copy, but a superior being. But as always, the strength of teamwork won out. Metal Sonic fell, and the Sonic cast continued to grow. Light and Darkness Sonic Unleashed. In Sonic Unleashed, Eggman took his ambitions to cosmic levels. He shattered the planet using the Chaos Emeralds, awakening an ancient force known as Dark Gaia, a creature of pure destruction slumbering within the Earth's core. The backlash of the explosion transformed Sonic himself. By day, he remained the speedster we know, but by night, he became the Werehog, a slower, stronger form. With stretchy arms and a deep growl, the transformation symbolized an inner duality, light and dark, speed and strength, peace and rage. Through continents and ruins, Sonic sought to restore the emeralds and mend the planet's crust, aided by a small creature with no memory named Chip, who was eventually revealed to be Light Gaia, the counterpart to the darkness. The two forces, Light and Dark Gaia, clashed in a final battle beneath the Earth. Sonic, once again becoming Supersonic, fused with Chip's energy to save. Balance was restored. Legacy and lineage. By now, Sonic's universe had evolved far beyond simple platformers. It had become a tapestry of themes. Legacy seen in Knuckles' guardianship of ancient power. Sacrifice shown by Shadow, by Tikal, and even by Chip. Freedom versus control, the central theme of Sonic and Eggman's rivalry. Friendship, the foundation of every team and every victory. And yet, Sonic remained the same. Cheerful, brave, always in motion. He didn't seek power for himself. He didn't fight for glory. He ran because it was who he was. The Hedgehog himself. Sonic is many things. To some, he's a mascot. To others, a childhood memory. But in the context of lore, he is the embodiment of freedom. Wherever Eggman imposes order, Sonic races to break it apart. When robots try to replace life, Sonic returns life to the world. When ancient powers rise, Sonic becomes equal, not through might, but through heart. He is a wanderer, a protector, a symbol. He doesn't need a home, the world is his home. He trusts his friends, but never needs to lead them. He never stays still. He never backs down. And somehow, he never changes. Pause gently. The music softens. Perhaps a breeze returns, like the one from Green Hill Zone. You've now traveled with Sonic from his earliest 2D adventures to space and floating islands, to ancient temples and crumbling civilizations. The journey has only begun. Ahead lies the stories of his friends, the allies who've stood beside him, risked their lives, and helped define the world of Sonic through their own unique paths. From the clever mind of Tails, to the ancient honor of Knuckles, to the mysterious past of Shadow. Every one of them carries a piece of this world's soul. Let's drift toward their stories, slowly, gently, as we continue our journey into Sonic's world. Not every hero runs alone. Even the fastest creature in the world needs someone at his side. So lead him. Someone help carry the weight of the world when the burdens grow heavy. In Sonic's journey, it is his friends brave, brilliant, and complex who shape the beating heart of his universe. So tonight, as we drift further into the world of Mobius, let us pause and meet them, one by one. And and hear their stories whispered beneath the stars. Miles Tails Prower, the loyal genius. Before he was flying jets and hacking supercomputers, he was just a lonely fox. Born with two tails, Miles Prower was often by his age. The twin tails that now make him special once made him the subject of ridicule. Children teased him. He spent much of his early life alone, watching the skies, dreaming of something more. And then, he saw Sonic. Blazing across the fields of Westside Island, blue as the sky, fast as lightning. Tails watched him, mesmerized, not just by the speed, but by the confidence. Sonic didn't hide what made him unique, he embraced it. Tails followed him, literally. He trained his twin tails to spin like a propeller, lifting himself into the air. For the first time, he wasn't just different, he was special. He caught up to Sonic, introduced himself shyly, and quickly became a constant companion. But Tails wasn't just a tag-along. He had a gift for machines building, repairing, upgrading. In time, he designed some of the most advanced vehicles in the Sonic universe. The Tornado biplane, mechs, submarines, and computers that rivaled even Eggman's tech. He's soft-spoken, polite, kind, but don't mistake that for weakness. Tails has stood up to gods and robots, fought alongside Sonic in the darkest hours, and more than once saved the day when no one else could. He is, in many ways, Sonic's heart, the proof that intelligence and compassion can be just as heroic as speed. Knuckles, the Echidna, the guardian of the Master Emerald, high above the world, on a floating island in the sky, sits a lone shrine. In its center rests a massive green jewel glowing faintly. This is the Master Emerald, the force that keeps Angel Island suspended in the heavens. And guarding it is Knuckles the Echidna, the last of his kind. Knuckles comes from an ancient race, the Echidna clan, whose ambition once nearly destroyed the world. Long ago, they tried to take the Chaos Emeralds by force, triggering the wrath of Chaos, the guardian spirit. From the ashes of that tragedy, only one protector remained. Knuckles was raised in solitude, trained to be vigilant, stoic, and strong. His duty was everything. For years, he watched over the Master Emerald without question. When Sonic first arrived on Angel Island, Knuckles was tricked by Eggman into thinking Sonic was after the Emerald. The resulting battles were fierce, two powerful forces clashing, each believing they were right. But in time, Knuckles learned the truth. He saw Eggman's manipulation, recognized Sonic's integrity, and chose to fight beside him. Knuckles may not always understand the world below his island. He's often gruff, sometimes gullible, but his honor is unwavering. He never backs down from a fight, never abandons his post. He is the embodiment of strength, tradition, and quiet loyalty. A lone sentinel in the sky, who sometimes ascends when the world needs him most. Amy Rose, the heart of a hero. If Sonic is the wind, then Amy Rose is the song that follows. She is fierce, unshakable, and hopelessly in love. Amy first met Sonic during the events of Sonic CD, where she was kidnapped by Metal Sonic on the mysterious little planet. From that moment, she dedicated herself to following Sonic not just as a romantic pursuit, but as a mission to become a hero in her own right. Many underestimate Amy. They see the pink fur, the dreamy eyes, the affection she wears so openly. But underestimating Amy is a mistake. She wields the Pico Pico hammer, a massive mallet that she swings with startling strength. She charges into danger without hesitation, often confronting threats bigger than herself, and more often than not, winning. But what makes Amy truly powerful isn't her weapon, it's her belief. She believes in people, in Tails' brilliance, in Knuckles' heart, in Shadow's potential for good, and above all, in Sonic. Not just as a hero, but as a person who will always choose the right thing, even when the world is falling apart. Over the years, Amy has matured. She's led resistance groups, protected innocents, rescued others. And while her feelings for Sonic haven't faded, she's grown far beyond being just the girl who loves the hero. She is a hero. Driven by love, yes, but not ruled by it. Shadow the Hedgehog, the ultimate enigma. And then, there is Shadow, the dark reflection, the lonely soldier, the experiment born of loss. We spoke of him briefly during the events of Sonic Adventure 2, but Shadow's story is far from over. He was created aboard the space decades of research by Professor Gerald Robotnik. Designed to be the perfect being, capable of living forever, Shadow was also meant to carry a purpose, saving the life of Gerald's granddaughter, Maria. But when Maria was killed, Shadow's heart was shattered. He awoke years later with broken memories and a sense of vengeance. But through his journey through battles, betrayals, and moments of reflection, he slowly found a new path. He is not like Sonic. He doesn't joke, doesn't smile. He doesn't seek friendship or glory. But he fights. He stands between danger and the world, again and again, even when his own purpose is unclear. He's allied with both heroes and villains. He's made hard choices, and he continues to walk a path somewhere between light and darkness. Shadow represents a deeper truth. That redemption is a journey, that identity is not fixed, that even those born in the shadows can choose their own way forward. He may never call Sonic his friend, but he respects him, and perhaps, in his own quiet way, he trusts him. Blaze, the cat guardian of the Sol Emeralds. Far from Sonic's world, in a parallel dimension bathed in golden light, lives a princess. Her name is Blaze. Her power is fire, mess, and her duty is solitude. Blaze the cat is the sworn protector of the Sol Emeralds, mystical gems that mirror the Chaos Emeralds but exist in a dimension of their own. She is graceful, calm, and deeply serious. Where Sonic is free-spirited, he is controlled. He runs in, she goes back. Power is immense flames dance around her, not in destruction, but as an extension of her will. But that power, from a young age, caused her pain. She feared hurting others. She isolated herself, and in doing so, she grew lonely. That changed when she met Sonic. Their first encounter came during the events of Sonic Rush, where a dimensional tear brought Sonic into her world and her into his. At first, Blaze saw Sonic as reckless, undisciplined, but over time she came to understand his heart, and in doing so, learned to open her own. By the end of their adventure, Blaze had not only saved her world, but forged a bond that defied the boundaries of space. She remains a solitary figure, still formal, still noble, but now she knows that friendship doesn't weaken duty, it strengthens it. And behind her composed eyes burns a fire, not just of power, but of quiet, radiant courage. Silver the Hedgehog hope from the future. Now, forward. Not across space, but time. Into a distant future, where the sky burns orange and the world lies in ruin. This is the world of Silver the Hedgehog. Born in an age torn apart by catastrophe, Silver is a telekinetic warrior. He can lift objects with his mind, suspend himself in midair, and crush enemies with invisible force. But more than his powers, Silver's greatest trait is his hope. He believes in a better world, and he's willing to fight for it, even if that means traveling through time to correct the past. In Sonic 2006, Silver arrives in Sonic's era with a singular mission: stop the one known as the Iblis, Trigger, the source of the apocalypse in his time. At first, he believes Sonic is that trigger and becomes his enemy. But over the course of a harrowing journey, Silver uncovers the truth. The real threat is not Sonic, but a monstrous being named Iblis, the manipulations of the dark villain Mephiles the Dark. Though Sonic 2006 remains a controversial chapter, Silver's story within it is filled with heart. His desire to change the future, not for himself but for others, makes him a symbol of hope and perseverance. Silver has since appeared in multiple games and timelines, often watching from the edges of history, always alert, always waiting. Because for Silver, the fight never ends. But neither does his belief that it can get there. Rouge the Bat, the treasure hunter. Next we descend into the night, into the shadows of spycraft, secrets, and stolen jewels. There, we find Rouge the Bat, part thief, part government agent, and all confidence. Rouge is a world-class jewel thief with a soft spot for shiny things, especially the Chaos Emeralds, and most of all, the Master Emerald. She's also a top-tier agent of GUN, the global defense force in Sonic's universe. Cunning and charismatic, Rouge walks the line between ally and rogue. She's helped Eggman, Sonic, and Shadow depending on what benefits her goals. But beneath her flirtatious smile is sharp intelligence. She's not just in it for the treasure. She watches, learns, calculates. In particular, her relationship with Knuckles is complicated. She teases him, challenges him, sometimes even flirts. And while they often fight over the Master Emerald, there's a deep mutual respect and perhaps something more beneath the rivalry. Rouge's real strength is her independence. She fights by Sonic, by Shadow, or even by GUN. She plays her own game. And in a world of chaos and conflict, she remains one of its most unpredictable and effective players. Cream the Rabbit, the gentle soul. In a world full of speed, explosions, and battles for cosmic power, it's easy to forget the small, quiet corners, but that's where Cream the Rabbit lives. She's a young bunny kind, polite, and brave in her own quiet way. She's always accompanied by her best friend, a chow named Cheese. Together, they've aided Sonic more times than most remember. Cream first appeared in Sonic Advance 2 and became a mainstay in the Sonic X anime. Though young, she is never a burden. She can fly using her long ears and commands Cheese with surprising precision, especially in battle. But what makes Cream so special is her empathy. She shows kindness to robots, mercy to enemies, and patience to those in pain. She often acts as a moral compass in difficult times, reminding others, even heroes, that strength must be paired with gentleness. She's innocent, but sometimes forgets what innocence feels like. And when she's around, even chaos seems to quiet down. Team Chaotix, the quirky detectives. Let's step into a creaky old office. Papers everywhere. The sound of a rotary phone. A saxophone plays in the background. You've entered the world of Team Chaotix. A trio of unlikely heroes, part detectives, part comic relief. They first appeared in Knuckles' Chaotix and returned as heroes as a fan team. Vector the Crocodile is the loud, lovable leader. He loves music, especially his beloved headphones, and charges for services, but always finds a way to help people even if they can't pay. Espio the Chameleon is the stealth expert. Calm, disciplined, and trained in ninja techniques, he often acts as the group's voice of reason. and Charmy Bee is pure energy, buzzing around, giggling, sometimes causing chaos, but always bringing joy. Together they solve mysteries no one else will touch. Whether it's finding lost cats or stopping secret plots, Team Chaotix does it with humor, heart, and just the right amount of chaos. They remind us that being a hero doesn't always mean being the fastest or the strongest. Sometimes it just means doing the right thing one clue at a time. Every great hero needs a rival. Someone who pushes them, challenges them, forces them to grow. On Shinsao for Yesaos. And for Sonic, that rival has always been one man, a brilliant, unpredictable, and often misunderstood genius with a round belly, huge mustache, and a dream that just won't quit. His name is Dr. Ivo Robotnik. But the world knows him as Dr. Eggman. Dr. Eggman, the mad genius. Let's begin with the man himself. Dr. Eggman is one of the most enduring villains in all of video games. He's comical, theatrical, and larger than life, but beneath the eccentric personality lies a dangerous mind, one capable of reshaping the world. In early lore, particularly in Western adaptations, Eggman began life as Dr. Ovi Kintobor, a kind-hearted scientist who wanted to rid the world of evil using the Chaos Emeralds. But a lab accident, often involving unstable energy, and a spilled drink transformed him into the opposite of everything he once believed. He became Eggman. The kind face turned cruel. The peaceful mind became obsessed with order, with power, and with bending the world to his will. In the main game canon, Eggman is a genius inventor with an IQ of 300. He builds massive machines flying fortresses, giant robots, space stations, and commands armies of mechanized minions. His goal is simple: world domination. A world built by his hands, powered by his machines, where nature is replaced by steel and silence. And yet, Eggman is never simply evil. In Shinsao, he's complex. He's quirky, strangely charming, and at times deeply human. He's failed 1,000 times but never gives up. He laughs in the face of defeat. He insults Sonic, builds a new robot, and tries again, over and over. There's something admirable in his persistence, and something a little tragic in his loneliness. He has no true friends, no lasting allies. Even his greatest creations often turn against him. And yet, he builds, he dreams, he believes. In some stories, we see glimmers of what Eggman might have been, a man who once wanted to change the world for the better, before his ambition twisted into obsession. But now, he stands as the eternal opposite of Sonic. Where Sonic is freedom, Eggman is control. Where Sonic runs through open hills and sunlit forests, Eggman covers them with factories and drills. And it's key. Their battle isn't just good versus evil. It's nature versus machinery, choice versus order. And that battle never truly ends. A world of machines, the Badnik army. Eggman doesn't fight alone. His dreams are made of metal, and those dreams take shape in the form of machines. Since the very first game, Eggman has built armies of small robots known as Badnik's mechanical shells, powered by trapped animals, turning peaceful creatures into tools of conquest. From the simple buzz bombers and motobugs of Green Hill Zone, to the more advanced, weaponized bots of later games, each one is a tiny cog in Eggman's grand design. But Eggman's real genius shines through his larger inventions, towering bosses, mobile bases, and experimental projects. The Eggmobile, his personal hovering cockpit, has been transformed into hundreds of deadly designs, from wrecking balls to laser cannons to planetary drills. But sometimes, Eggman's ambition takes him even further. He builds fortresses. In Chixam, he builds space stations. He builds copies of Sonic himself. And that's where we turn next. To the rivals that weren't born, but built. Metal Sonic Sonic's robotic shadow. In a hidden lab deep beneath the surface of Little Planet, Eggman designed something special. Not just another badnik, not a weapon, but a perfect imitation. He called it Metal Sonic. Sleek, cold, quiet. Metal Sonic is the embodiment of Eggman's obsession. He was built to be Sonic, but better, faster, stronger, obedient. And yet, he was more than just a machine. From the moment he was activated, Metal Sonic wasn't simply mimicking Sonic's speed. He was mimicking his identity. He watched, he studied. He began to develop thought, not as a human would, but as a program, becoming aware of itself. In Sonic CD, he challenged Sonic in one of the most iconic races in gaming, a desperate sprint through Stardust Speedway, with Amy's life hanging in the balance. But that was only the beginning. Over the years, Metal Sonic returned in various forms, each time more powerful, more aggressive, more independent. In Sonic Heroes, he evolved into Neo Metal Sonic, absorbing data from every character, even attempting to overthrow Eggman himself. He declared, "I am no longer the copy. I am the real Sonic." But in the end, Metal Sonic always falls. Not because he's weak, but because he's missing something Sonic has, a soul. Where Sonic is driven by instinct, emotion, and friendship. Metal Sonic is empty, precise, calculated. He is the shadow of Sonic's light, fast, cold, and forever chasing something he cannot understand. Chaos, the god of destruction. Long before Eggman built his first robot, long before Sonic raced through his first zone, there was a being. Irin Sunyanka, a creature not of steel or fury, but of water, of sorrow, of stillness. His name was Chaos. In Sonic Adventure, we meet Chaos as a mysterious, shape-shifting liquid monster awakened by Eggman to wreak havoc on the world. He feeds onto the Chaos Emeralds, growing stronger with each one. But Chaos was not always a monster. Long ago, he was the guardian of the Chow's small, innocent creatures who lived peacefully near the Master Emerald. Chaos himself was once known as the God of Chow, watching over them with tenderness and devotion. But then came the Knuckles clan, an ancient Echidna tribe obsessed with power. They invaded the Chow's sanctuary, seeking the Master Emerald. In the chaos, the Chow were trampled, slain. Chaos, seeing his beloved children destroyed, changed. He absorbed the Emerald's power and became perfect Chaos, a towering serpent of wrath and water. In his grief, he nearly drowned the world in flood. He was sealed for centuries inside the Master Emerald, sleeping, waiting. When Eggman awakened him, he didn't understand what he'd unleashed. Chaos wasn't just a monster, he was pain, memory, justice. But in the end, Sonic, with the help of the Chow and the positive energy of the Emeralds, calmed Chaos. Not with violence, but with peace and Chaos, finally seeing the Chow alive and happy once more, dissolved, not in defeat, but in release. He was never truly evil, just lost. And in the end, found. Yianquirt, Shadow the Hedgehog, the ultimate life form. Some villains aren't born. They're created. In a secret space colony called Ark, orbiting above the Earth, a brilliant scientist named Professor Gerald Robotnik, Eggman's grandfather, created a living miracle. A hedgehog. Not just fast, not just strong, but nearly immortal. His name was Shadow. Shadow the Hedgehog was the culmination of decades of research, meant to unlock the secrets of immortality to save Gerald's terminally ill granddaughter, Maria. Shadow and Maria became inseparable. She was kind, gentle, a light in the sterile corridors of Ark. But when the government discovered Gerald's experiments, they saw danger and ordered a full-scale shutdown. Gun forces stormed the station. Maria was killed. Shadow was placed in stasis. So began his descent. When he awoke 50 years later, Shadow remembered only pain, loss, a whisper of Maria's last words: protect the people for a better future. But Shadow, twisted by memory and manipulation, interpreted that as vengeance. In Sonic Adventure 2, he aligns with Eggman and helps summon the space colony Ark down to Earth, threatening all life. But in the final moments, Sonic reminds him of Maria's true wish: peace, not destruction. Shadow sacrifices himself to stop the fall. He plummets to Earth, presumed dead. Yet he returns again and again, sometimes an ally, sometimes a rival, always searching for purpose. Shadow is not evil. He is lost in time, in pain, in memory, a mirror of what Sonic could become if joy were replaced by grief. He is a warrior, a protector, a shadow who beneath the darkness carries the faintest light. Infinite, the illusion of power. In the world of Sonic forces, a new threat rises. A jackal, once a mercenary, now a monster. His name is Infinite. Infinite was once the leader of the Jackal Squad, a band of fighters for hire. But when he crossed paths with Shadow and was utterly defeated, something in him shattered. Ashamed, broken, furious. He turned to Eggman, who offered him a new identity and a new power. The Phantom Ruby, a mysterious gem capable of warping perception, bending reality, and creating illusions so vivid they feel real. Infinite used this power, not just to fight, but to break his enemies. He made Sonic relive false defeats. He twisted entire cities into nightmarish war zones. He built a reality where Eggman ruled the world, and hope seemed gone. Infinite wasn't the strongest villain, but he may have been the cruelest. Because he didn't destroy you. He made you believe you'd already lost. But in the end, it was Infinite's ego and Sonic's spirit that unraveled his illusion. No matter how strong a nightmare becomes, it cannot survive in the light. And Infinite, he vanished. A whisper, a memory, an echo of fear, now gone. Other shadows and threats. The Sonic universe is filled with echoes, villains who rise, fall, and return in new forms. There is Mephiles the Dark, the cold, time-warping shade from Sonic 2006 who manipulates Silver and kills Sonic in one timeline. A creature without a soul, driven by spite. There is Black Doom, the alien progenitor of Shadow's DNA, seeking to enslave Earth through an army of black arms. There are Zavok and the deadly six twisted creatures from Sonic Lost World, who rebel against Eggman and use ancient energy to dominate. Each of these villains pushes Sonic and his allies further, not just to fight, but to question, to grow, to adapt. Because sometimes the greatest threats are not machines, but ideas. And at them, memories. Loss. Exactly. And in that way, Sonic's enemies are not just foes. With Saldown, they're reflections of fear, of pain, of potential gone wrong. Long before the blue blur raced across the hills of Green Hill Zone, before Eggman built his first machine, before even chaos was sealed in stone, there was a people. A a proud ancient people whose story has been nearly forgotten. They were warriors, priests, guardians. They were called the Echidna clans. And their legacy would shape the very heart of Sonic's world in ways few truly understand. Let's begin at the beginning. A world before the world. Imagine a lush and untouched land, ancient forests, sacred mountains, emerald waters that shimmer in the sunlight. At its center floats something impossible. A giant island suspended in the sky, Angel Island. This island was not held up by clouds or wings, but by a power deep and mysterious, the Master Emerald. Bigger and more powerful than the 7 Chaos Emeralds combined, the Master Emerald was a relic of impossible energy, capable of shaping time, space, even destiny. And the ones who guarded it were the Knuckles clan, a tribe of red-furred echidnas. They were fierce and devoted, believing themselves chosen by the gods to protect the emeralds from those who would abuse them. But power rarely sleeps peacefully. And even protectors can fall. The Knuckles clan, pride and downfall. The Knuckles clan had ruled Angel Island for generations. They were skilled in ancient martial arts, trained in spiritual rituals, and deeply connected to the emeralds' energy. They believed the Master Emerald was not just a weapon, but a living force. And yet, as generations passed, that reverence became something else. Possession. Their chieftain, a leader whose name is lost to time, grew obsessed with using the Chaos Emeralds to expand the clan's power across the world. The emeralds were under the protection of a peaceful race of creatures, the Chow and their mysterious guardian, a creature of water and light known only as Chaos. The Knuckles clan, driven by ambition, ignored the warnings. They stormed the sacred shrine. They slaughtered the Chow. They attempted to take the Chaos Emeralds by force. And in doing so, they awakened Chaos's wrath. The day Chaos awoke. It is said that Chaos had lived in harmony with the Chow for centuries, a protector of peace, not a warrior. But on that day, when he saw the innocents destroyed, something inside him broke. He absorbed all 7 Chaos Emeralds and transformed into perfect chaos, a godlike serpent of flood and fury. He razed the Knuckles clan city. He drowned the temples in water. He washed away their future in a single night. And then, he vanished. What remained of the Knuckles clan was scattered, their civilization reduced to ruins. Only fragments of their writings and relics remain. And from that day forward, the Master Emerald stood alone. Guarded not by an empire, but by a single bloodline. The last guardian, Knuckles, the Echidna. In the present day, only one Echidna remains. His name is Knuckles. Strong, silent, and solitary, Knuckles is the last of his kind, the final heir to the ancient duty passed down for thousands of years. Protect the Master Emerald, at all costs. He lives alone on Angel Island, and now he speaks little of the past. But in his eyes is history. Knuckles was introduced in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 initially as an enemy, tricked Eggman into believing Sonic was there to steal the emerald. But over time, Knuckles became one of Sonic's closest allies and most loyal friends. Unlike Sonic, who roams the world, Knuckles stays. Always watching, always guarding. It's not a role of glory. It's a role of burden. Because he doesn't just protect an emerald. He protects a memory of a people long gone, of a promise never broken. And though he may never reclaim his clan's legacy, he honors it every day. Tikal, the voice of the past. But Knuckles is not the only echo of the Echidna story. In Sonic Adventure, we meet Tikal, a young priestess from the Knuckles clan who lived during its final days. Gentle and wise beyond her years, Tikal was the daughter of the clan's chief. She tried to stop the war for the Emeralds. She begged her father to leave the shrine in peace. But no one listened. When chaos awakened, it was Tikal who sealed herself and him within the Master Emerald, hoping to contain the destruction. Thousands of years later, her spirit appears to Sonic and his friends in visions, guiding them, warning them, helping them understand the past. Tikal is not a warrior. She is a witness, a memory, a whisper from a time when the world was still learning what power truly meant. And her presence reminds us that even in failure, compassion endures. History in pieces. The story of the Echidna clans is fragmented, scattered across games, visions, ancient murals, and cryptic dialogue. Sometimes it contradicts itself. Sometimes it fades between timelines. But that makes it no less meaningful, because it isn't just lore. It's a myth, a tragedy, a warning. Power, even in the hands of the noble, can corrupt. Man's duty can become obsession, and even the proudest civilizations can fall. But even in ruin, something survives. A guardian. A spirit. A promise. And in that, there is still hope. The temple murals. Stories in stone. In Sonic's adventures, especially those set around Angel Island, Hidden Palace Zone, and other ancient ruins, players often encounter strange wall carvings, mosaics of beasts, gods, and symbols. These are more than just decorations. They are murals left behind by the Echidna civilization, the only remnants of their once vast archives of history and prophecy. Some murals show the Chaos Emeralds in alignment, surrounding a godlike serpent presumed to be perfect chaos. Others depict an Echidna surrounded by flame, possibly Tikal or her father. Still others show battles, floods, transformations, and celestial beings descending to Earth. To those who pay attention, the murals tell stories of the Echidnas' rise as Emerald Guardians, of their growing ambition and tragic downfall, of a prophecy that the Emeralds would one day bring about both ruin and salvation. These murals are rarely explained directly, but they whisper to us like dreams in stone. They remind us that history, once forgotten, still lingers in shadows. Hidden Palace Zone secrets beneath the surface. Beneath the floating island lie the Hidden Palace Zone, an ancient underground sanctuary where the Master Emerald was once enshrined. Here, players find strange architecture, tall arches, spiraling columns, glowing blue tiles. The place feels reverent, but haunted. It's here that Sonic confronts Knuckles in a now iconic scene. Knuckles, defending the Emerald from a mistaken threat. But the zone is more than a battleground. It's a memory. Some believe the Hidden Palace was where the Knuckles clan performed their sacred rituals, channeling the Emerald's power. Others think it was where chaos first manifested, or where the sealing took place after the Great Flood. The music of this stage is quiet and mysterious, a soft melody in the dark, almost like the land itself is mourning what was lost. The Hidden Palace reminds us that what lies beneath often holds the deepest truths. The Echidna legacy, beyond Knuckles. While Knuckles is the last known descendant of the ancient clan, He's not the only echidna to appear in the Sonic universe. Over the years, other members of the race have appeared in alternate timelines, spin-offs, and extended lore. The Nocturnus clan in Sonic Chronicles, The Dark Brotherhood, a now discontinued but lore-rich RPG. We meet the Nocturnus clan, a rival echidna faction who once opposed the Knuckles clan. Led by the militaristic Imperator Ix, the Nocturnus were technologically advanced, valuing machinery and conquest over tradition and spirit. Thousands of years ago, the Nocturnus were banished to another dimension using a warp field, as punishment for trying to dominate the world. In the present day, they return bitter, warped by time, and hungry for revenge. They are not the noble guardians we've known. They are what the Knuckles clan could have become, had they survived. The Nocturnus show us that the echidna race had its own civil wars, its own diverging philosophies. Their fall was not from a single sin, but from many paths, all paved in pride. The Archie Comics continuity. In the Archie Sonic comics, which ran for over 2 decades, the echidna lore was expanded dramatically. Knuckles was part of a living civilization of echidnas, a hidden society surviving in secret, complete with politics, cities, and a powerful religious council. We meet characters like Lara Lee, Knuckles' mother, Locke, his father, who puts Knuckles through harsh training, Julie Sue, a former soldier and Knuckles' love interest, and the Dark Legion, a splinter group of echidnas who embrace cybernetics. The Archie version of the echidnas is deep, complex, and often tragic. It explores themes of family, prophecy, betrayal, and identity. Although this lore is not canon in the games, it resonated with fans, giving Knuckles more depth and showing how a fallen race might still exist, just barely. Duty versus destiny. Across all continuities, one theme remains. What does it mean to guard something forever? Knuckles, alone on his island, does not live like Sonic, full of freedom and speed. He lives with purpose, with duty, with weight. That burden is the essence of echidna lore. Even Tikal, in her final moments, chooses to give herself up not for glory, but for the chance to save others. The echidnas teach us something powerful, that even the mightiest people can fall. But the ideals they live for, protection, responsibility, peace, can live on. Through stone, through memory, through one last guardian who never gives up. Are the echidnas truly gone? It's a question fans still ask. Could there be more echidnas out there hiding, surviving, waiting? Or are they truly extinct, lost to the ages? The games are careful not to give a definitive answer. We are left with ruins, visions, and a lone protector in red gliding silently across the cliffs of Angel Island. But perhaps that's the point. Some stories are meant to stay unfinished, like myths half-sung, like legends carved in fading stone. They stay with us, not because they're complete, because they haunt us. And so the echidna clans remain, not alive, not dead, but eternal in memory. They shimmer with color, they radiate with energy, and they hum with possibility. The Chaos Emeralds are more than just gemstones. They are the very heartbeat of Sonic's universe, scattered across worlds, chased by heroes and villains alike. The emeralds are both tools of creation and instruments of chaos. But where did they come from? What secrets do they hide? And what links them to the ancient Master Emerald floating above the clouds on Angel Island? Tonight we journey deep into the lore of the Chaos Emeralds to understand the power that shapes destinies. awakens gods and turns hedgehogs into legends. Let's begin with the basics. What are the Chaos Emeralds? In their most recognizable form, the Chaos Emeralds are 7 crystalline gems, each a different color: blue, yellow, red, green, purple, white, cyan. They appear in nearly every Sonic game, starting from the original Sonic the Hedgehog in 1991. From that point on, they became central to the series' mythology. To most, they appear as collectibles hidden in bonus stages or scattered across zones. But behind the game mechanics lies a deeper story. Each Chaos Emerald contains an infinite amount of energy capable of warping space and time, defying gravity, healing life, or destroying entire landscapes. They respond to the will of those who hold them, making them not just tools, but reflections of the soul. In the wrong hands, they bring ruin. In the right hands, they bring transformation. Supersonic, the transformation. One of the most iconic uses of the Chaos Emeralds is the transformation known as Supersonic. When Sonic collects all 7 emeralds and harnesses their power, he undergoes a dramatic change. His blue fur turns a glowing golden yellow. His eyes glow red with energy. His speed, strength, and durability increase exponentially. And he can even fly, defying gravity and soaring through the sky like a meteor. Supersonic is not just faster, he's nearly unstoppable. First introduced in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, this form quickly became a staple of climactic battles often used to face off against final bosses, giant machines, or world-ending threats. Other characters can also use the emeralds to transform. Knuckles becomes Hyper Knuckles. Tails in certain games become Super Tails, accompanied by energy birds. Even villains like Metal Sonic and Silver have used the emeralds for sinister or redemptive purposes. But no matter who holds them, the emeralds don't get power without a cost. They require balance. They test willpower. And they often awaken forces far beyond the control of mortals. Origins and mythology. The true origins of the Chaos Emeralds are not always consistent, and that's part of their mystique. Some stories suggest the emeralds are naturally occurring, formed long ago in the depths of space. Others say they were created by an ancient race of beings, maybe even the precursors to the Chao or the Echidnas themselves. In Sonic Adventure, we learn that the emeralds are linked to Chaos, the water-like creature who once protected the Chao. It's said that he used their power to become perfect chaos, destroying the Echidna civilization in revenge. This event cemented the emeralds as both divine and dangerous, capable of both great good and unspeakable harm. In other continuities, such as the Archie comics, the emeralds are said to originate from a planet known as the Zone of Silence, with ties to multidimensional forces and cosmic balance. But no matter the origin, one thing remains true. As Sal was, the Chaos Emeralds are alive with energy. And they choose how they are used. The Master Emerald, the heart of the world. Separate from the 7 Chaos Emeralds is a larger, even more mysterious gem, the Master Emerald. Emerald green and often housed at the center of Angel Island, the Master Emerald serves as both a power source and a regulator. It can control the Chaos Emeralds, rendering them inert. Stabilize Angel Island, keeping it afloat in the sky, as Stembin Achurdi Shikyorin, seal beings like chaos within itself. And act as a guardian crystal like a sentient heart, pulsing with ancient power. Well, the Master Emerald is not just stronger, it's spiritually deeper. Where the Chaos Emeralds represent energy. The Master Emerald represents balance. It responds not to greed or speed, but to devotion. That's why it has always required Guardian someone to protect it, not to use it. That Guardian is Knuckles the Echidna. Idi the Maitins, the bond between Knuckles and the Master Emerald. Knuckles was born into the role of protector. Raised on Angel Island, alone and devoted to his task, he has watched over the Master Emerald for most of his life with no interruptions and no questions. He doesn't seek glory. He doesn't crave power. He simply guards. Because he understands, better than most, what happens when the emeralds fall into the wrong hands. Knuckles has a unique ability to communicate with the emerald, sensing when it is in danger or when it has been disturbed. In some stories, it even responds to his emotions. Their bond is sacred, ancient, and unspoken. And when the Master Emerald is threatened, as it often is by Dr. Eggman, Rouge the Bat, or other seekers of powers, Knuckles always answers the call. Not because he wants to fight, but because some things must be protected, even when no one else remembers why. Chaos energy. The dual nature, the energy within the emeralds is known as chaos energy, a force that is both creative and destructive. It's the same energy that allows Sonic to become supersonic, but also the same energy that turned chaos into a world-ending monster. It's the power that keeps Angel Island afloat, but also the power Eggman uses to fuel war machines. Chaos energy reflects the intentions of its wielder. In the hands of a hero, it becomes light. In the hands of a villain, it becomes shadow. That duality is central to Sonic's world, because the emeralds don't make you a hero or a villain. They simply show you who you already are. The emeralds across time and space. Though we most often see the Chaos Emeralds in their standard form scattered across zones, sought by Sonic and his rivals, these mystical gems are not bound to just one world or timeline. The Sonic multiverse is wide and wild, and in its many corners, the emeralds take on new forms, meanings, and functions. Let's travel now into these alternate realities where the emeralds shine differently, but their power remains unmistakable. The Soul Emeralds, Fire's answer to chaos. In the dimension of Blaze the Cat, a princess and guardian of her realm, we encounter a new set of mystical gems, the Soul Emeralds. There are also 7 of these emeralds, and they mirror the Chaos Emeralds in many ways. They grant immense power. They can be used to transform Blaze into Burning Blaze, her super form. They are scattered across her world and must be recovered to prevent catastrophe. But the Soul Emeralds are not tied to chaos. They are tied to flame, to order, and to sunlight, suggesting a more solar and structured energy compared to the raw, reactive nature of chaos energy. Where the Chaos Emeralds are associated with transformation and imbalance, the Soul Emeralds are symbols of stability and responsibility. Blaze guards them much like Knuckles guards the Master Emerald, alone, solemn, and with quiet strength. In Sonic Rush, when the dimensions of Sonic and Blaze collide, the Chaos and Soul Emeralds interact almost like cosmic siblings meeting for the first time. Together, they remind us that every world has its sacred flame, its ancient energy, its own story. The Time Stones, forgotten relics of time. Another rare set of mystical gems appears in Sonic CD, the Time Stones. Unlike the Chaos Emeralds, these stones are not used for transformation or superpowers. Instead, they affect time itself. Collecting all 7 Time Stones allows Sonic to achieve a good future in every level, purging the influence of Dr. Robotnik and restoring peace to the world of Little Planet. a mysterious satellite that appears only once a year. Time stones are colorful like the Chaos Emeralds, scattered across stages and hidden zones, capable of changing past, present, and future based on the player's actions. But their influence is subtler, more philosophical. They raise questions. Can time be rewritten? Can one hero's actions ripple through generations? Are good futures something we create or something we earn? The Time Stones have never returned in mainline games. But their role as Keepers of Destiny still echoes in Sonic's wider mythology. They are reminders that time, like energy, flows through all things. Hyperforms and the Super Emeralds. In Sonic 3 Knuckles, there exists an even rarer form of power, the Super Emeralds. These appear only after collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds, unlocking a secret altar in Hidden Palace Zone. There, the player can place the Chaos Emeralds into stone pedestals, transforming them into even greater forms. With the Super Emeralds, Sonic can become Hypersonic, as such. He starts sending radiating rainbow light. With increased speed, flight, and a unique screen-clearing ability, creating a blinding burst that defeats enemies instantly. Tails becomes Super Tails, accompanied by glowing birds of light. Knuckles becomes Hyper Knuckles, with amplified gliding and climbing strength. But the Super Emeralds have only appeared once and were never seen again. Why? Some believe they were too powerful, breaking the balance of gameplay. Others think they exist only when Hidden Palace is active, or when the Master Emerald awakens their potential. In any case, the Super Emeralds represent a deeper, more divine layer of transformation. They remind us that even ultimate power can be surpassed, but only by those pure of heart and patient enough to find it. The role of the Emeralds in rebirth and cycles. Across the Sonic franchise, the Emeralds are often used not just to win battles, but to reset the world. In several games, they seal ancient evils. They repair damaged timelines. They bring characters back from the brink of death or despair. This makes the Chaos Emeralds less like weapons and more like instruments of rebirth. Like in Sonic Adventure, where Sonic uses them to cleanse chaos of hatred. Or in Sonic Forces, where the Emeralds are used to challenge impossible odds. Even in Sonic Frontiers, the Emeralds serve as keys, unlocking memories, truths, and divine battles across the Starfall Islands. The Emeralds don't just help Sonic win, they help him understand. Chaos Emeralds in other media. Outside the games, the Emeralds appear again and again in cartoons, comics, and films. In the Archie comics, the Emeralds are tied to a massive energy matrix. They are part of a global system that keeps Mobius alive. The Master Emerald is even sentient, in some stories capable of speaking and choosing its guardians. In the Sonic X anime, the Emeralds are scattered through Earth after a dimensional accident. They are chased by Sonic, Eggman, and the mysterious Chris Thorndike. When gathered, they often trigger large-scale transformations or time-space events. In the live-action Sonic films, the Emeralds are part of the mythic chaos, Emerald Master Emerald Fusion. In Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the Master Emerald breaks apart to reveal the 7 Chaos Emeralds within. Sonic absorbs them to become Super Sonic, defending his friends and ending the final battle in a quiet moment of golden peace. These interpretations differ, but all speak to the same idea. The Emeralds are timeless, their power misunderstood, and their purpose always emotional as well as magical. Symbolism, what the Emeralds really represent. As we near the end of this chapter, let's pause. What do the emeralds mean? What is it about these colorful stones that makes them so central, not just to Sonic's world, but to ours? At their core, the Chaos Emeralds represent potential, the untapped power within. Balance, the fine line between creation and destruction. Choice, the will to use power for good or ill. Harmony 7, parts forming a greater whole. The fact that there are 7 of them isn't an accident. Across cultures, 7 is a sacred number. 7 days of the week. 7 colors of the rainbow. 7 chakras in Eastern philosophy. 7 notes in a musical scale. The emeralds draw from that universal symbolism, suggesting that power, when aligned, can create harmony, and when scattered, can lead to chaos. In the end, they are not just plot devices. They are reflections. Mirrors that show each character and each player what they are capable of when given limitless energy in one simple question. Eos, what will you do with this power? The music fades into a soft hum like wind dancing through crystal trees. And so the emeralds continue to drift across time, space, and story, always waiting for the next soul brave enough to gather them and pure enough to use them wisely. In a world filled with dazzling speed, mystical emeralds, and ancient prophecies, there exists one figure who stands apart. Not by fate, not by birthright, but by sheer force of will. A man of intellect, of ambition, of contradiction. His name is Dr. Ivo Robotnik, but the world knows him better as Eggman. A self-declared genius, a a master inventor, a son, and the eternal rival of Sonic the Hedgehog. Tonight, we dive into the mind behind the machines to understand his rise, his empire, and the obsession that drives him. Let's begin with his origins. A childhood of brilliance, before the mustache, before the mech suits and robotic armies. Ivo Robotnik was a child prodigy. In many continuities, he showed signs of genius-level intelligence at an early age, building complex machines as a toddler, designing artificial intelligence before his teenage years, graduating from universities while most kids were still in grade school. But his brilliance was matched by something else. A desire for control. Where others saw the beauty in nature, Ivo saw imperfection. Where others saw wildness, he saw waste. To him, chaos was a problem. A problem that machines could solve. From a young age, he believed that a better world could be built. One with order, precision, and logic. And if he had to rule that world to make it perfect, so be it. The Eggman Empire. Eggman's vision wasn't small. While many villains chase riches or revenge, Eggman sought something greater. His Sawantarisum, a technological utopia ruled by machines, powered by science, and designed by him alone. To achieve this, he began building what would become known as the Eggman Empire. Factories, flying fortresses, drilling machines, and orbital cannons. Entire cities made of steel. From Scrap Brain Zone to the massive Death Egg, each creation was a step toward domination, but also a testament to his craftsmanship. His machines are more than weapons. They're statements. Every towering robot, every sleek hovercraft, every labyrinthine base. Each one says, I can build a better world without nature, without chaos, without Sonic. A complicated past. The Kintabor theory. In some versions of Sonic lore, particularly older Western continuities, there is a curious twist to Eggman's backstory. He wasn't always evil. He was once known as Dr. Ovi Kintobor, a kind, gentle scientist who worked alongside Sonic. Hintus, in this telling, Kintobor sought to neutralize evil in the world. He used the Chaos Emeralds in an attempt to absorb negative energy. But a lab accident fused him with a rotten egg, and the emeralds transforming him into the cruel Eggman. This version, while not canon in the Japanese games, offers a symbolic layer to Eggman's character, Twice, a fallen idealist. Twisted not by ambition, but by tragedy. It asks the question, what happens when genius goes unchecked and dreams turn dark? Though modern lore focuses on Eggman as a lifelong antagonist, echoes of Kintobor remain in his moments of clarity, loneliness, or buried regret. Rivalry with Sonic speed versus control. At the heart of Eggman's story is Sonic. Their rivalry is more than just hero versus villain. It's a clash of philosophies. Sonic represents freedom, spontaneity, and the wild joy of life. He doesn't plan, he acts. He doesn't build, he runs. Eggman, on the other hand, seeks order, predictability, and dominance. He plans meticulously. He builds obsessively. He wants the world to run on his terms. And so they are locked in an eternal dance. Eggman builds Sonic brakes. Eggman captures Sonic freeze. Eggman rises, Sonic dashes forward. Yet strangely, they need each other. Without Sonic, Eggman has no challenge. Without Eggman, Sonic has no purpose beyond the thrill. Their rivalry is a reflection not of hatred, but of opposition. Two forces forever pulling against each other, like gravity and flight. The machine is a mess. Eggman's greatest legacy made his inventions. He has created giant mechs like the Egg Dragoon and Egg Emperor. A fleet of warships, the Egg Carrier being his most iconic, uraniums and leaking oink. Space stations, including the Death Egg and Final Egg Blaster. Countless versions of Eggmobiles, customized for battle. And robotic minions like Egg Pawns, Buzz Bombers, and the adorable but deadly Badniks. But his most dangerous creations are the ones that mimic life, robots that think, robots that feel, robots that question their creator. Like Metal Sonic, a cold, calculated duplicate of Sonic himself. Programmed not to destroy, but to surpass. Metal Sonic isn't just a weapon. He's Eggman's statement. If I can't beat Sonic, I'll build someone who can. These creations often turn against Eggman. Sure, they develop self-awareness or grow too powerful. But Eggman continues, undeterred. To him, failure is fuel. And each broken robot is just a blueprint for the next. Cracks in the empire Eggman's creates. For all his ambition and power, Eggman's empire has never lasted long. Time and again, his schemes are brought to ruin by Sonic, his friends, or even his own creations. But some defeats leave more than dents in steel. Some leave scars in the soul. Let's reflect on the moments where Eggman's towering ambition collapsed, and what those moments tell us about the man behind the machines. The destruction of the Death Egg. After its dramatic reveal in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the Death Egg became man's most fearsome symbol, a metallic fortress modeled after his own face, floating above the earth like a taunting god. But in Sonic 3 Knuckles, it crashes. Sonic, powered by the Chaos Emeralds, infiltrates the Death Egg and destroys it from within. The destruction isn't just physical, it's symbolic. The fall of the Death Egg marks the end of Eggman's dominance over the skies. It shows that even his greatest achievements are temporary, always vulnerable speed, courage, and teamwork. And for the first time, Eggman seems defeated, in spirit as much as in body. Still, he rebuilds. He always rebuilds. But the Death Egg's fall remains a reminder. Even the strongest empires can crash and burn. Chaos and the limits of control. In Sonic Adventure, Eggman awakens the ancient water god, Chaos, planning to use it as a weapon of mass destruction. He believes he can control it. He's wrong. As Chaos absorbs the Chaos Emeralds, it grows stronger, turning into perfect chaos. An entity beyond reason, beyond machinery, beyond Eggman. When chaos floods Station Square, Eggman watches helplessly as his plan unravels. The irony? The man of machines loses control to a force of nature. His efforts to dominate the world only unleash greater destruction. And once again, he's forced to watch Sonic take the day by calming chaos, not destroying it. It's a rare moment where Eggman is completely sidelined a spectator in a drama of ancient emotions and redemption. He fades into the background, silent, perhaps contemplative. Eggman's empire in Sonic Forces. In Sonic Forces, Eggman achieves something rare. He wins. At the beginning of the game, Eggman has already conquered most of the world. Sonic has been captured. Cities have fallen. Eggman rules through fear and power. He even has a new ally, Infinite, a mysterious being powered by the Phantom Ruby, full of warping reality. For a moment, Eggman's dream is reality. But even at the height of power, he falls. Sonic escapes, and in some kind, resistance forces rise. Infinite is defeated. And in the end, Eggman is forced to retreat again. Sonic Forces highlights the truth. Eggman can win battles, but not hearts. He can conquer cities, but never inspire loyalty. His rule, like his robots, is hollow. And hollow things rarely last. The shifting nature of Eggman's alliances. Though fiercely independent, Eggman isn't always alone. Over the years, he has formed fragile alliances, often with powerful entities, sometimes even with his enemies. Let's explore a few of these curious partnerships and how they reflect his willingness to gamble everything for control. Teaming up with Shadow and Gun. In Sonic Adventure 2, we meet Shadow the Hedgehog, created by Eggman's grandfather, Professor Gerald Robotnik. Eggman and Shadow briefly work together, their goals aligned by shared history and mutual benefit. But their bond is brittle. Shadow is not a puppet. And Eggman, despite his genius, misunderstands emotion. This partnership shows Eggman's tendency to use others as tools and his shock when those tools gain autonomy. Later, in various games like Shadow the Hedgehog, he forms uneasy truces with organizations like Gun, or even helps Sonic when stakes grow cosmic. These moments aren't out of kindness. They're out of necessity. And when the danger passes, Eggman always returns to his old ways. Because deep down, he trusts no one but himself. Betrayed by his own creations. Eggman has been betrayed many times not by rivals, but by his own creations. Metal Sonic in Sonic Heroes rebels and tries to conquer the world for himself. Omega in Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog breaks free from Eggman's control and joins the heroes. Orbot and Cubot, his comic relief assistants, frequently question his logic even if playfully. These betrayals cut deep. Eggman, ultimate control freak, is constantly reminded that even his machines have wills of their own. And in each betrayal, there's a lesson. You can build a machine, but you can't build loyalty. moments of humanity. Beneath the bombast and bravado, there is still a man. And on rare occasions, that man shows humility. Sadness, and not even grief. Let's look at the few times Eggman's humanity shines through. The legacy of Professor Gerald. Eggman's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, was a genius, perhaps even more brilliant than Eggman himself. But Gerald's life ended in tragedy, as his experiments aboard space colony Ark led to catastrophe and sorrow. In Sonic Adventure 2, when Eggman uncovers his grandfather's work, he is clearly moved. For once, he isn't ranting. He's reflective. He sees in Gerald both the dream and the warning. The pursuit of perfection can lead to destruction. Science without ethics is a dangerous road, and those who seek control often lose themselves. It's a quiet moment, but an important one, reminding us that Eggman isn't just a villain. He's the last of a broken legacy, trying to rebuild it in his own flawed way. In Sonic Frontiers, the Eggman logs. In Sonic Frontiers, Eggman is stranded in cyberspace for much of the story. During this time, he records personal logs, audio entries, where he reflects on his past, his empire, and his feelings. They reveal a side of him we rarely see. He speaks to loneliness. He wonders about legacy. He shows pride in his daughter-like AI, Sage, even protecting her from harm. For the first time, Eggman is vulnerable. Not because he's defeated, but because he's alone with his thoughts. These moments give us a glimpse of the man behind the machines. Still proud, still stubborn, but perhaps capable of love. The eternal return, no matter how many times he falls, Eggman always comes back. Why? Because he's unyielding. He is Sonic's equal in determination, if not in spirit. When Sonic rests, Eggman builds. When the world sleeps, Eggman plots. He's gone, Nanny. When the skies are clear, Eggman launches another fortress. He is perseverance incarnate. And in a way, that's what makes him compelling. He never gives up. Not out of hope, but out of obsession. The Eggman paradox. And so we reach the paradox at the heart of Dr. Eva Robotnik. He's both villain and missionary. Laughing madman and lonely genius. He wants to conquer the world not out of hatred, but because he truly believes he can fix it. He sees the world not as it is, but as a blueprint. One he can improve. Infinite, perfect, and rule. And yet, he is always undone. By freedom, by chaos, by a blue blur who never stops running. Still, he never changes course. He keeps building. He keeps dreaming. He keeps chasing that unreachable goal. A world shaped in his image. Because he must, because he cannot imagine doing anything else. We begin Miles Tails Prower, the loyal genius. We begin, as many stories do, with Tails. Two Tails. He could ensure stock and one heart. Sinyathomacte and a mind that could rival Eggman himself. Miles, named Tails, is Sonic's first and closest companion. Ursat, a young fox born with two tails, Tails once faced teasing and isolation. But he found inspiration in Sonic's courage, and from that day forward, he never looked back. Tails is an engineer, inventor, and pilot. He built the Tornado, the biplane that supports Sonic's early adventures. He crafts gadgets, weapons, and even entire vehicles, always tinkering, always solving. But his strength, his loyalty. In Sonic Adventure, Tails steps up when Sonic is presumed dead, defeating Eggman alone to save Station Square. In Sonic Forces, he nearly loses hope when Sonic is captured, but regains it when classic Sonic appears, reminding him that bravery can take many forms. Tails is more than a sidekick. He's a symbol of growth. From timid child to hero in the making, he reminds us, even those who start in the shadows can rise and shine brighter than they ever imagined. Knuckles the Echidna, the guardian who trusts no one. If Tails is the mind, Knuckles is the shield. As the last guardian of the Master Emerald, Knuckles is a solitary figure raised with purpose, bound by legacy. His demeanor is tough. His trust is slow. But his honor is absolute. Though his first appearance cast him as Sonic's rival, manipulated by Eggman believing Sonic was the villain, Knuckles soon saw the truth. From that point on, he became a reluctant ally, and sometimes a stubborn friend. Knuckles prefers action over words. But when it matters, he's always there. He fights beside Sonic and Sonic Heroes. He defends Angel Island when it's attacked. He joins the Resistance in Sonic Forces, taking on a leadership role during Sonic's absence. Knuckles isn't flashy. He isn't perfect. But his loyalty is iron. He represents tradition, duty, and grit. In a world of chaos and speed, Knuckles is a rock. Immovable, steady, unbreakable. Amy Rose heart, hammer, and hope. Where Sonic charges forward and Knuckles stands firm. Amy Rose believes. With her bright pink quills, massive Pico Pico hammer, and endless optimism, Amy's often misunderstood, labeled as comic relief or a lovesick teen. Innocent. But beneath that bubbly exterior lies something powerful. Unshakable resolve. Amy first appears in Sonic CD, Kidnapped by Metal Sonic. But her character evolves far beyond the damage trope. In Sonic Adventure, she protects a frightened bird, even when no one else cares. In Sonic Heroes, she leads Team Rose on a mission of her own. In Sonic Frontiers, her deep empathy allows her to connect with the ancient spirits trapped on the Starfall Islands. She's not just strong. She's emotionally intelligent. She sees worth in others even when they don't see it in themselves. Amy represents love, not as romance, but as compassion. The ability to care even in darkness. She isn't just a fighter, she's a believer. And in the world of Sonic, belief is a superpower. Shadow the Hedgehog, the weapon who found a soul. If Amy is the heart, then Shadow is the storm. Created as the ultimate life form aboard the space colony Ark, Shadow was built to be a weapon. A being of strength, speed, and adaptability. But he was also shaped by tragedy. Killed during the government raid, an event that shaped his view and fueled his anger. Shadow begins as an antagonist in Sonic Adventure 2, but over time, he seeks purpose. In Shadow the Hedgehog, he questions who he is and what he was created for. In later appearances, he chooses to protect the world, even if he refuses to do it Sonic's way. His actions are cold, his tone is sharp, but his motives are often deeply human. Shadow works with Sonic the world. He represents duality between the weapon and the man, the rage and the remorse. And through him we see that identity is never fixed. We choose who we become every day. Blaze, the cat keeper of another dimension, far beyond Sonic's world. In a parallel dimension ruled by flames and oceans, lives Blaze the cat. A princess, a guardian of the Soul Emeralds, and a solitary warrior bound by duty. Blaze first appears in Sonic Rush, where she meets Sonic and learns to open up to trust. In her own realm, Blaze is revered, but she is lonely. Her flames are both her power and her burden. She fights with precision and elegance. She rarely speaks unless it's important. And when she does, her words are full of quiet wisdom. In Sonic 2006, Blaze makes the ultimate sacrifice, absorbing a cataclysmic power to save the world, and vanishing into another timeline. She represents sacrifice and self-discipline. A soul wrapped in fire, burning quiet resolve. Blaze reminds us that leadership isn't loud. Sometimes the strongest protectors say the least. Team Chaotix, the chaotic detectives. And then there's Team Chaotix. Vector the crocodile, the loud music-loving leader. Espio the chameleon, the stealthy ninja-like thinker. Charmy B, the hyperactive, energetic wildcard. Together they form a private detective agency. Introduced in Knuckles' Chaotix and reimagined in Sonic Heroes, Team Chaotix adds a dose of humor and chaos to the cast. But make no mistake, they get the job done. They take strange missions. They stumble, bicker, and argue. Insane stuff. But they never quit. Vector, with his booming voice, hides a big heart. Espio, ever serious, lives by honor. Charmy brings levity and surprisingly clever insights. Team Chaotix shows that not every hero wears red sneakers or wields a sword. Sometimes heroism looks like the immediate team ain't solving problems, supporting friends, and doing your job even when no one thanks you. As the stars rise higher over Mobius and the winds whisper across Angel Island, we see a network of faces, hands, and hearts, each one unique, yet woven into the same tapestry. These are Sonic's allies. And in their stories, we find that even the fastest hero can't save the world alone. Silver, the hedgehog hope from the future. From a ruined future, born in ash and lightning, comes Silver, a psychic hedgehog with a mission. His timeline is devastated, his world nearly lost, and his mission? To travel back in time and prevent the destruction from ever occurring. Silver first appears in Sonic the Hedgehog, 2006, where he is manipulated into believing Sonic is the cause of his dystopian future. But as the truth unravels, Silver realizes his role is not one of vengeance, but of prevention. Unlike Sonic, who runs fast, Silver thinks ahead. His psychokinetic powers allow him to levitate objects, fly, and manipulate the battlefield in ways no one else can. In Sonic Rivals, he seeks to protect the timeline. In Sonic Forces, he joins the Resistance, becoming one of its most trusted defenders. In the IDW comics, he continues to fight across space and time, searching for balance and hope. Silver represents optimism in the face of despair. Even when his future crumbles, he believes it can be saved. It's no use he won't shout. But that phrase was never about giving up. It was about pushing through even when things seemed impossible. E-123, Omega, the robot who defied his creator. Not all allies have a pulse. Some are forged in steel. E-123. Omega is one of Eggman's most powerful robot creations, designed as part of the elite E-Series units. But Omega is different. He wasn't content to follow orders. He wasn't content to be a pawn. After being abandoned by Eggman, Omega turned on his creator, seeking revenge, freedom, and purpose. With devastating firepower and unmatched durability, Omega is a walking arsenal. Yet his mind is keen, his identity forged not just by programming, but by defiance. He joins forces with Shadow and Rouge to form Team Dark. He often speaks in cold, robotic tones. but his actions reveal a sense of honor. His loyalty is unwavering, especially to Shadow, whom he sees as an equal. Omega shows us that even the creations of evil can become forces of good. Free will can be found in even the most unlikely places. Rouge the Bat, the spy with a code. Elegant, cunning, unpredictable. Rouge the Bat is many things: jewel thief, spy, and government agent. But at her core, she is a master of balance. She walks the line between selfish and loyalty, between opportunist and hero. Rouge debuts in Sonic Adventure 2, where she initially appears to pursue the Master Emerald for her own gain, but over time she reveals a deeper layer. She cares for her teammates, especially Shadow. She acts as a double agent, feeding intel to the Resistance. You know or not, she often manipulates from the shadows, but rarely for cruelty. Rouge understands the world in ways others don't. One game? She reads people, has say, and when the time comes, she fights. Her role in Team Dark makes her one of Sonic's most complicated allies, unpredictable but reliable in the moments that matter. Trusting Rouge means accepting her flaws. But it also means recognizing her strength. The Resistance united in crisis. There came a time when Eggman's plans could not be stopped by Sonic alone. In Sonic Forces, Eggman finally succeeds in his most terrifying goal, conquering the world. Using the power of infinite, Eggman creates a nightmare landscape. Sonic is defeated. His self and Nikina captured. His son Deacon gone. The world begins to fall. He's all entered. And in that darkness, the Resistance rises. Led by Knuckles, with support from Silver, Amy, Rouge, and others, the Resistance becomes the last bastion of freedom. They build safe zones, plan covert strikes, recruit new fighters, including the custom avatar character that players control in the game. Without Sonic, and yet, the fight continues. When Sonic is eventually rescued, he rejoins the team, but not as a lone hero. This time, he's one piece in a much larger machine. The Resistance arc is important because it shows us Yuchara Ringneat. Heroism isn't about one person. It's about many people, rising when it matters most. The many teams of Sonic's world. Beyond the Resistance, there are dozens of teams and temporary alliances that highlight the diversity of Sonic's friends. Quiet moment. Team Sonic, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles. The core trio: power, brains, and speed, always ready to protect the world. Team Dark, Shadow, Rouge, Omega. A Black Ops trio, dangerous and efficient, often taking on missions others can't. Team Chaotix, Vector, Espio, Charmy. The quirky detectives who bring humor and clever solutions to unusual problems. Team Rose, Amy, Cream the Rabbit, Big, the Cat. Kindness, loyalty, and determination, often underestimated. Each team has its strengths. Each brings something unique to the battlefield. And together, they remind us that unity doesn't require similarity. Diversity is not a weakness. It is the greatest strength of Sonic's world. Cream the Rabbit and Cheese. Innocence in a harsh world. Among Sonic's allies, few are as gentle as Cream the Rabbit and her chow companion Cheese. Cream is polite, soft-spoken, and seemingly too innocent for battle. But when pushed, she reveals incredible strength and courage. In Sonic Advance 2, she rescues her mother from Eggman. In Sonic Heroes, she serves on Team Rose. She offers a nurturing spirit that calms those around her. Her companion Cheese might look harmless, but this Chow has defeated robots, bosses, and enemies far larger than himself. Cream and cheese show us that kindness is not weakness. Even the softest voices can echo the loudest in times of need. The power of bonds. If there's one truth that defines Sonic's world, one thread that ties it all together, it's this: no one wins alone. Not Sonic, not Tails. Not even villains like Shadow or Rouge. Across games, comics, and adaptations, the same lesson repeats. Bonds matter. Trust matters. And in the darkest hour, the people around you are what bring the light. Whether it's Knuckles standing his ground, or Silver arriving from the future, or Blaze stepping between worlds, each ally plays a role. Each brings something Sonic can't carry alone. It's not just about power, it's about connection. Classic Sonic: A Simpler Time. Let's begin at the beginning. It showed the basic before the voice acting. An epic worst. There was classic Sonic. It was Mesa Cobra, small, round, and full of energy. This version of Sonic represents the early 1990s era, where the Sega Genesis introduced the world to fast-paced platforming and vibrant 16-bit charm. Games like Sonic the Hedgehog, 1991. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 1992. Dark Sonic CD, 1993. Sonic 3 Knuckles, 1994. These titles built the foundation of a timeline where stories were subtle and gameplay told the tale. But classic Sonic would not remain in the past forever. In Sonic Generations, 2011, Time Anomaly brings Sonic into the modern timeline. He doesn't speak. He's slightly smaller. But his presence is powerful, a nostalgic force, helping modern Sonic restore time itself. Then in Sonic Forces, 2017, he returns again, drawn from another dimension to aid the Resistance. Some believe classic Sonic is simply Sonic from the past. Others argue he's from a parallel timeline where the world evolved differently. Either way, class reminds us of the franchise's roots: simpler art, tighter stages, a sense of innocence. Sometimes, to move forward, we must remember where we came from. Sonic CD, time travel, and the Little Planet. One of the earliest signs of branching timelines came in Sonic CD. In this strange and beautiful game, Sonic travels to the Little Planet, a mysterious place that appears above Never Lake once a year. But this planet isn't ordinary. It allows time travel. By running fast enough and touching certain signs, Sonic can travel to, perchancing, past versions of each zone. Future versions, both good and bad. Depending on the player's actions destroying machines, collecting time stones, the future of the world changes. This creates a powerful narrative theme. Your actions shape tomorrow. Do nothing, and the future is bleak. Fight for good, and the world blossoms. In a sense, Sonic CD isn't just a game, it's a philosophical fork in the franchise. A quiet nod to the power of choice and the reality of alternate outcomes. It also introduces Amy Rose for the first time, and Sonic the mirror of Sonic speed and pride. Sonic Boom, a world reimagined. In 2014, Sonic entered another dimension this time, through rebranding. Sonic Boom was a multimedia experiment. A new game series, Rise of Lyric, Shattered Crystal, Fire Ice. CGI animated TV show. A redesigned cast and a tone. Here, Sonic and friends are still recognizable but different. Sonic sports athletic tape and a longer build. Knuckles is taller, bulkier, and more naive. Tails is even more of a tech genius, Amy is confident and independent. And Eggman is still Eggman, but with extra comedy. A Sonic. Sonic Boom, the series ran for 2 seasons and earned a cult following for its meta humor, clever writing, and unique world building. This version of Sonic's world is lighter, self-aware, and often pokes fun at the franchise's legacy. Though not canon to the main timeline, it stands as an alternate reality where friendships still matter. Adventures are still thrilling. And sometimes it's okay to laugh at yourself. The Archie Comics Multiverse. Let's now open a very different book. From 1992 to 2017, Archie Comics published a long-running Sonic the Hedgehog comic series, one that expanded the lore to incredible depths. Over 290 main issues, plus spin-offs and specials, the Archie continuity introduced new characters like Sally Acorn, Bunny Rabbit, Antoine, and Rotor. The Freedom Fighters, a resistance group battling Eggman's regime. Deep family lore for Sonic, Knuckles, and others. Parallel zones and timelines including alternate futures, dream realms, and dystopian echoes. The Archie series was bold, emotional, and often surprisingly dark. It featured betrayals, time travel, alternate versions of characters, entire universes destroyed or rewritten. Key arcs like the Endgame saga Mobius, 25 years later, and the Genesis wave introduced concepts rivaling even comic book multiverses like Marvel or DC. The series was eventually rebooted in 2013 due to legal complications and narrative complexity. But to fans, it remains a cornerstone of the Sonic mythos, a deep, branching timeline where anything felt possible. In the multiverse of Sonic, the pen is as mighty as the spin dash. Sonic and the Secret Rings Sonic and the Black Knight storybook worlds. There are also worlds where Sonic is not quite himself. In the storybook series, Sonic is translated into magical books, becoming a part of myth and legend. In Sonic and the Secret Rings, 2007, he enters the world of the Arabian Nights. He meets Shara, a genie. Battles Eraser Jin, a corrupted spirit. And takes on the role of a fated hero in a story written in sand and flame. In Sonic and the Black Knight, 2009, he is pulled into Arthurian legend, wields a talking sword named Caliburn, faces off against the corrupted King Arthur, and ultimately becomes a knight. These games are often overlooked, but they show something fascinating. Even when placed in unfamiliar lands, Sonic's core traits remain courage, speed, and a heart that resists tyranny. These alternate worlds explore themes of destiny, storytelling, and identity. And they ask, who is Sonic really? A product of his world, or a force that shapes every world he enters? Sonic X Anime Dimensions and the Planet Earth. In Sonic X, an anime series from the early 2000s, Sonic and his version of Earth, Our Earth. This isn't quite canon to the games, but it reflects an alternate take on Sonic's interactions with humans, society, and technology. Here, he befriends Chris Thorndike, a human boy, and battles Eggman across both worlds. The show includes adaptations of game arcs like Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Battle, but it also introduces new characters and emotional arcs that dive into themes of home, sacrifice, and separation. The idea that he might have to leave this new Earth and the people who came to love him gives the series a surprising emotional resonance. It reminds us, sometimes being a hero means saying goodbye, even when it hurts. And so, as the winds of time ripple across dimensions, we begin to see the truth of Sonic's multiverse. He is not bound to one story, not chained to one form. He moves across timelines, books, screens, and dreams. And everywhere he goes, he runs forward, toward hope, toward light, toward freedom. IDW Comics, a soft continuation, a fresh world. Following the end of the long-running Archie comics series in 2017, a new chapter began in the Sonic Expanded Universe, the IDW Sonic the Hedgehog comics. Launched in 2018, this new continuity picks up after the events of Sonic Forces, offering a familiar yet refreshed take on the Sonic universe. While IDW's world is to reflect the mainline games, it also introduces original characters and arcs that distinguish it as a parallel universe in its own right. Notable characters include Tangle the Lemur, energetic and brave, with a prehensile tail and boundless optimism. Whisper the Wolf, a quiet sniper with a painful past, haunted by betrayal. Starline the Platypus, a fanatical follower of Eggman, with aspirations of power and manipulation. And many more. The IDW series emphasizes emotional arcs and world building, long-running sagas such as the Metal Virus Saga, where a nanomachine plague threatens to consume all life. The Imposter Syndrome arc, introducing cloned versions of Tails and Sonic-like entities. The evolving relationships between Sonic, his friends, and even former enemies like Shadow. This timeline walks a careful line between new and old, grounded in the tone of modern Sonic, but exploring consequences and change in ways the games rarely do. Here, the multiverse isn't flashy. It's personal. It shows what happens after the battle and after the credits roll. And that's part of the magic of the multiverse. Seeing not just what changes, but what stays the same. Shadow the Hedgehog branching destinies. Let's step now into the shadowed corridors of destiny. Shadow the Hedgehog is one of Sonic's most complex characters, and his story is deeply intertwined with timelines, identity, and loss. Shadow was engineered by Professor Gerald Robotnik, Eggman's grandfather, as the ultimate life form. He was created to save the life of Gerald's granddaughter, Maria, and as a result, Shadow was not born of evil, but of love and desperation. In Sonic Adventure 2, we see Shadow grappling with Maria's death, revenge, and his own unclear purpose. But in Shadow the Hedgehog, 2005, things become even more fragmented. That game introduces multiple branching endings, each based on the player's choices. Shadow sides with Sonic, or with the Black Arms alien race, or seeks his own vengeance, or chooses destruction, or even questions his entire identity. The canon ending is ultimately chosen by Sega, but the existence of all these potential paths opens the door to alternate Shadows, echoes of what might have been. A Shadow that gave in to rage. A Shadow that chose peace. A Shadow that vanished into the void. The multiverse doesn't just show us different places, it reveals different versions of ourselves. Shadow embodies this, a living question mark wandering through intersecting timelines. Chaos Force and cosmic threads. In both the Archie comics and other deeper Sonic media, there exists a concept often alluded to but rarely defined. The Chaos Force. This is an energy source that flows through time, space, and possibility, not unlike the mystical Chaos Emeralds, but broader and more fundamental. In Archie canon, the Chaos Force is a dimensional presence representing balance, destiny, and universal correction. It's from this force that characters like Enerjack, a corrupted super form of Knuckles, draw power. It's also where Mobius Prime, the core Sonic universe, is said to reside, surrounded by a near infinite number of alternate Mobius worlds. These alternate worlds include a reality where Sonic never became fast, a world where Eggman triumphed, a timeline where Knuckles rules as a tyrant, entire realms corrupted by the Dark Legion, Black Arms, or time anomalies. The Chaos Force isn't about chaos in the literal sense. It's more akin to a dimensional nervous system maintaining the flow of timelines, correcting rips, and occasionally collapsing divergent worlds into one. This force is deeply spiritual in tone. It suggests that the Sonic multiverse isn't random. It's alive, watching, reacting, and remembering. What if? The unseen realms. Beyond official games and comics, the multiverse lives in fan imagination and even brief glimpses of animated material. For instance, Sonic Generation shows two Sonics interacting with each other, a clear breach of temporal law. Sonic Prime, Netflix, 2022-2023, explicitly explores shattered worlds where Sonic's actions break reality itself. The Shatterverse in Sonic Prime features drastically reimagined versions of his friends like Pirate Tails, Totalitarian Amy, and Feral Knuckles, each shaped by their environment. Each version of Sonic's allies offers a key insight. Who are we without our memories? Without our friends? Without our home? In Sonic Prime, Sonic learns a painful lesson. Speed alone can't fix everything. Sometimes the damage is deep. You can show 'em. Sometimes to set things right, you have to slow down. Look around and understand. Canon or not, doesn't matter. With so many timelines, continuities, and reboots, fans often ask, what's canon? The answer? It depends. Sega loosely treats the main games, particularly those post-Sonic Adventure, as core continuity. But even those contain contradictions, retcons, and overlapping timelines. The Archie comics, IDW comics, Sonic X, Sonic Boom, and storybook games each exist in their own narrative bubbles. But that's the beauty of Sonic's multiverse. It's all valid. Every world tells a different story. Every version of Sonic reveals a different truth. Some are heroic. Some are tragic. Some are silly, stylized, strange. But they all share one thing: heart. At the center of each universe is a blue hedgehog, not perfect, not all-powerful, driven by freedom, by friendship, by that desire to run forward no matter what. As we drift between timelines and stories, one thing becomes clear. There is no single Sonic. There is no final version. Just infinite possibilities, spiraling like rings across time. And that's the beauty of it. Even as you fall asleep, the worlds keep spinning. And somewhere, in some reality, Sonic is still running. In the early 1990s, Sonic was defined by attitude. He was brash, cool, rebellious. He rolled his eyes at rules, tapped his foot if you were too slow, and smirked in the face of danger. But as Sonic's world grew richer with friends and prophecies, his character had to evolve too. In Sonic Adventure, 1998, we got our first real glimpse of a vulnerable Sonic. He wasn't just zipping through loops, he was fighting to save chaos from itself, mourning the loss of Tikal and the ancient Echidna tribe. facing a threat beyond Eggman, one tied to the very fabric of nature. This game introduced emotional stakes. And with each entry, Sonic began to feel more. He wasn't just cocky. He was caring, protective, and sometimes quietly burdened. Sonic unleashed the lonely hero. Few games in the franchise embody Sonic's emotional growth like Sonic Unleashed, 2008. Here we see Sonic pushed to a physical and psychological extreme. After being attacked by Eggman and corrupted by the power of Dark Gaia, Sonic transforms into a werehog at night, a slower, bulkier, more monstrous form. While many remember the game for its shifting gameplay mechanics, the story itself is quietly poignant. Sonic struggles with his dual identity. He's nine towards the fear of losing control. The weight of having to fix a world shattered into pieces. There's a tenderness in how he interacts with Chip, like Gaia, a mysterious, childlike companion who slowly rediscovers his purpose. Their bond is sweet and subtle. In the game's quiet moments between villages, starlets, and ruined Sonic pause. He isn't rushing anymore. He's reflecting. He's now listening. Helping strangers in tiny towns, not for glory, but because he wants to. And when Chip sacrifices himself to stop Dark Gaia, Sonic is devastated. But he honors his friend's legacy not by mourning, but by running forward, like he always does. Shadow, Silver, and emotional mirrors. In this era, Sonic wasn't alone in carrying deeper emotional themes. Others were introduced who served as mirrors to Sonic, reflections of what he might become or what he tries not to be. Shadow the Hedgehog, for instance, is a tragic anti-hero defined by memory, grief, and purpose. He challenges Sonic to think beyond instinct. Silver the Hedgehog from the future is idealistic but naive, burdened by apocalyptic timelines and crushing responsibility. Both characters force Sonic into deeper emotional conversations about fate versus free will, about sacrifice, about doing the right thing even when it's hard. In scenes with Shadow, Sonic softens, trying to remind him what it means to be free. In moments with Silver, Sonic acts as a mentor, guiding him with quiet wisdom. These interactions mark a turning point. Sonic isn't just reacting anymore. He's leading and feeling. Themes of legacy, loss, and memory. Across the modern era, the game started to echo with themes rarely seen in earlier platformers. Loss became a frequent undercurrent. Chaos's sorrow over his fallen Chow in Sonic Adventure. The destruction of the Ark and Maria's death in Sonic Adventure 2. The disappearance of the Time Eater's victims in Sonic Generations. The corrupted world Silver tries to save in Sonic 2006. The shattered planet and sacrifice in Sonic Unleashed. But these weren't just plot points. They were moments that asked the player to slow down, to think, to feel. They gave Sonic and us room to reflect. What does it mean to keep going when everything is falling apart? And Sonic's answer, again and again, is simple in tone, but powerful. You just keep running. You don't give up.